So good morning friends. Today we will talk about the Morley-Minto Reforms of 1909. First let us talk about the background of the reforms. The background of the reforms included dissatisfaction of the Congress leadership with the 1892 reforms. Right. The second point includes that in 1906 Muslim League was formed by Nawab Salimullah of Decca and Nawab Mohsin ul Mulk and Nawab Waqar ul Mulk. Right. The third point includes Shimla deputation, which was a group of elite Muslims led by Aga Khan. They met Lord Minto to demand separate electorates. Right. This is the group of elite Muslims which also took up the leadership of Muslim League, which was formed in the same year in 1906. Right. And the idea behind formation of Muslim League was to intend uh, to to preach loyalty to the British Empire in order to have some concessions for the Muslims in the country. In the same period, Gopal Krishna Gokhale also met Secretary of the State to put forward the Congress demand of self-governing system. We have already discussed that Congress was not satisfied with the reforms of 1892. So to put forward their viewpoint, G.K. Gokhale met Secretary of the State for demand of self-governing systems. Now let us talk about some features of the Indian Councils Act, which is better known as better known as Morley-Minto Reforms, because Lord Minto was the Viceroy at that time and John Morley was the Secretary of the State. So, and this Indian Councils Act was initiated and passed to placate Muslim leagues and the moderates of the Congress. Right. The features include that the strength of the Indian Imperial Legislative Council, that is the Central Legislative Council, it was increased. And Indian was also included in the Executive Council of the Viceroy for the first time. An important fact to remember is that this Indian was Satyendra Prasad Sinha. He was the first Indian to be included in the Executive Council of the Viceroy. Right. Another point to remember is that the members of Provincial Executive Council were also increased. Now their powers also increased. Now they could pass certain resolutions. They could ask questions, not only ask questions, but they could also ask some supplementary questions. They could vote separate budget items, but not budget as a whole. Right. And then the next point is legislative powers of central and provincial councils were increased. The most important point under this act, the most important feature because of which this act has become so controversial, is that separate electorates was given to the Muslims after this act. Plus, the representation of Muslims in these central legislative councils and provincial legislative councils was in excess of their actual population. This was a concession given by the British in order to placate the Muslim League, and Muslim League also pledged their loyalty to the British